Everyone, and welcome to Quear 2.0. Quear 2.0 is exploring sex gender diversity and is a collaboration between the Radio Tribune and the nonprofit Gender Justice Nevada. My name is Jane Heenan. I am, filling in for Laura Hernandez today, but Laura is not with us. We're still kind of trying to figure out how to kind of be here and not be here and who's going to be around, but I'm going to be taking the lead today. Maybe to say a little bit about myself, my relationship with Gender Justice Nevada. I'm a founding member of the organization and have been a volunteer executive director as well as clinical director there since our founding in 2011. We are serving sex gender diverse persons and communities in the great state of Nevada, offering direct services and advocacy in a variety of different contexts. You can find us on Facebook at Gender Justice Nevada, as well as on our website at genderjusticenv.org. Our phone number is 702-425-7288. If you have any questions or are looking to find out more or need some services. Also, we have a call-in number for today's show, 702-983-0711. That's 702-983-0711. I'm understanding that the show is being streamed online, and if any of you all are lucky enough to be listening to us now and want to call in and talk a bit, have a question or whatever, please feel free. I want to start out, before we get to our guest, Jeremy Herman, by acknowledging the shooting death of a 30-year-old transgender feminine person in St. Louis, Kiwi Herring. Kiwi was shot by police in the past few days. The police were called for a domestic dispute, and the resultant interaction with the officers ended with Ms. Herring's death. Ms. Herring, of course, is not the only transgender person, particular transgender person of color to be killed in 2017. Sadly, for many decades, it's been, terribly common for transgender persons to suffer this kind of fate, particularly in their interactions with law enforcement. Those situations can be very, very difficult and lead to very dire outcomes. So I don't know Kiwi Herring. I'm not really able to say an awful lot about the details of her passing. But know that we at Gender Justice Nevada are following up on this and engaged in trying to end violence in our communities, not just in our sex gender diverse communities, but in all of Nevada. And we're more in the passing of Kiwi Herring. So want to maybe start the interview with Jeremy by asking you maybe to introduce yourself. Maybe you could say some things about how you come to be with us at Gender Justice Nevada, what you're offering over these last months with us. And I just want to say welcome.
Thank you. My name is Jeremy Herman. I've been working as a consultant with Gender Justice Nevada for since maybe February, so maybe half a year.
Right.
I completely stumbled upon Gender Justice Nevada by accident. A volunteer, Jamie Kwan, came to a reading. I'm a writer. I was reading one of my short stories at drawing a blank here, Writer's Block over on Fremont and 10th. And Jamie came up and started talking to me after the event and said, "Hey, I work for this nonprofit." I said, "Oh, what coincidence? I used to work for nonprofits too." A million years ago, back in the early 2000s, I was a development manager and then executive director of a nonprofit called Classrooms on Wheels. So Jamie said, "Hey, come in and talk to my executive director. They've got, could have an interesting conversation and maybe there's something for you to do here." So I came in and I talked to you, and we had a nice conversation. And you said, how can we play together? And I said, "I don't know. What do you want? What do you need?" And so you sent a couple things my way, a couple documents that I helped you edit, and one thing led to another. And here I am now attending an event that we are hosting at the Rio. Caesars is hosting, really. We're organizing the event, the Rio, this Saturday, August 26th. from 6 to 8.
Well, and you know, we're going to have some time to talk about the event, but
Sure.
I just want to say, like, I think I'll always remember that first conversation that we had. Like, I don't ever know how those dialogues are going to go, but our contact was pretty vibrant and clear from the beginning, and we ended up talking for, I don't know, it was 90 minutes or 2 hours or something like that. Like, it was really wonderful, and you know, Jeremy, I can't say enough about the good things that you brought to our group in support of, I don't know, like as development consultant, maybe raising money, but kind of pitching in and finding a good way. I hope also maybe, like I know that I've learned from you that maybe like that kind of growth has been available for you about I don't know, sex, gender diversity. Did you know anything about like these kind of things before you came to be with us?
I mean, I wasn't completely ignorant. I knew I read a lot, so I've you know, it was more theoretical now.
Yeah.
It was more stuff that I've read in books or stuff that I read in newspaper articles. I actually, a month before I met you, I read a really interesting article in National Geographic about transgender people. So I wasn't coming in blind, but yes, I definitely had a lot to learn. I still have a lot to learn.
Well, I think we all have lots to learn. I think that's the gift of being together, is that kind of growth. Not to put you on the spot, and I'm wondering, what's something that stands out to you that you've learned about diversity? And you said the word transgender, and not to belabor this, but for us, it's as Gender Justice Nevada, we talk about sex, gender diversity because it's a much broader and inclusive, and in the end, to me, much more honest way to talk about our communities. When we just talk about transgender persons, that doesn't even include a lot of people that maybe would otherwise be considered to be transgender because they don't see themselves as trans. They see themselves as non-binary or agender, or personally, I self-identify as a snowflake, and my pronouns are they, them, their. So, you know, when we talk about intersex people and you know, any other people who are oppressed under the binary, sex workers or persons in BDSM relationships, kinky people, swingers, there's a whole lot of folks who are hidden and in some ways afraid to be visible in various contexts in their workplace, maybe with medical professionals, in their families even. So, I mean, I appreciate that we're transgender. That's an important part of what we're doing, but just to sort of flesh that out a little bit more for the audience. And what's something maybe that stands out to you, if I could ask, about like your learning maybe since February?
Well, I mean, what you just mentioned, I mean, like I said, I read a ton, and I've read a ton about transgender, but not very much about intersex, and not much about sex, gender diversity. So really, like, there's a whole big layer underneath the layer that I understood. You know, I was at kind of the tip of the iceberg, and it was just everything underneath that I knew nothing about, which is saying a lot about what you're doing, what Gender Justice Nevada is doing, because if I read a lot and I don't have that information, how can somebody who doesn't sort of go out there and do the research, how can they know about these things?
Right.
How many times do you read articles about intersex people? And it's an important part of what we do, but it's just there's not enough information out there. You know, I can think of one book, Middlesex.
Right.
That's
maybe anybody could know that it was a film too, but yeah, where else do you see even that word intersex? Where else do you maybe understand some of the ways in which our communities really are together, how these things really affect us all, and how I think maybe anybody could know this, but that we're stronger when we're together. We're healthier when we acknowledge all of us rather than just sort of talking about a smaller segment or kind of taking maybe dominant culture language and thinking, well, like we should speak in these kinds of ways because that's the way people know about it. And while there's some truth to that, I think it's also important that we would lead. And I don't know, maybe if this is okay to do, but like I want to again thank the Radio Tribune for offering us this space. It's a great gift, and they've been very generous with us, and we're so excited to be here this morning, to have had these opportunities the last few weeks, and very much looking forward to growing together along the way. So this event at the Rio, I don't know. I mean, I know some things about it, but we've been planning it for, I don't know, maybe a few months. You're kind of the expert in that. I wonder if you could kind of take us through what this event is really about and what maybe we're hoping to have happen on Saturday at the Rio.
Sure. As many of you probably already know, part of gender justice's mission is to help enact legislation that makes life easier for these folks that we serve. And we had a lot of successes this year. Off the top of my head, you know the bill numbers better than I do, but I know we helped end conversion therapy. We helped end the publication requirement for name changes. CCSD schools are now being trained in a way about gender diversity that they weren't prior to the passage of this bill, and I know I'm missing a couple.
Well, and I'd just say something more about the school bill. We were successful really in kind of folding into a larger bill about bullying, some language about policy and training about sex gender diverse students, not just in Clark County, which would have been a huge thing, but we have 17 school districts in Nevada, and this bill is going to require all of them to have policy and training. And actually, as a precursor to this, last summer and last fall, we engaged with the Nevada Department of Education to co-write a model policy for sex gender diverse students. And we were unsuccessful in getting that policy distributed to the different districts, which is part of what led to the attempt to get things done legislatively, but we're just so thrilled. It's going to be a long journey because we have a lot of things to do in terms of regulations and then kind of maybe developing and sustaining relationships with the various school districts. 17, we're just down here. We got good things going with Clark County, but there are a lot of people we need to get to know better. But right, and I don't know if the bill numbers really mean all that much, but I think you're really kind of hitting the highlights. So the other one that I would say though is about foster care youth. So Assemblyperson Arujo was instrumental, really a fierce leader in support of foster youth this past session and getting maybe a similar bill to the one we got done with schools, but this applying to foster care, not just the state institutions, but any institution, NGO, or nonprofit is required now to have some training about diversity, sex gender diversity, when they're dealing with foster kids. So, right, there's a lot of exciting legislation. So the party is going to be about celebration, huh?
Right, celebrating all the successes and all the people that have made it happen. Some of those people are people in organizations, some of those people are people in politics or lawyers or people formerly in politics. So the list includes, I'll let you name the people who are honorees.
Well, okay, I guess. I would maybe start by thanking Kathleen Delaney, District Court Judge, Department 25. Judge Delaney actually is a good personal friend of mine and is a native Nevadan and does a lot of wonderful things with Basset Rescue here in Las Vegas as well. But Kathleen's been kind of behind the scenes consultant. My partner is also a lawyer, but I don't know, maybe anybody could know, like, when it's family, sometimes it's hard to talk about work stuff. So Kathleen, as a friend to our family, has been there for many years in support of things like changing DMV policy regarding sex gender marker changes, was instrumental in getting the first bill introduced in 2009 that included gender identity or expression for the first time in Nevada, among other gifts that Judge Delaney has offered. We're also honoring Paul Aisley, who was in the Assembly, I think, for 3 sessions starting in 2009. Assemblyperson Aisley, and I always say this, I think I said this last week, if you're listening, Paul, I love you, Paul Aisley, I will always love you. Paul said yes. Paul was the first legislator to say yes to our attempt to get a bill introduced. And for anybody who knows about legislation, you can't just go to the legislature and say, oh, let me get a law passed. You have to have somebody sponsor the legislation. So Paul was our sponsor and really a warrior in his time in the Assembly. And we wouldn't really be here really without Kathleen or without Paul. And then we're also going to honor Senator David Parks. And when I say we wouldn't be here without Paul and Kathleen, that's true, but maybe it's even more true about Senator Parks, who has for some decades been a leader in support of gay rights, and while we've maybe had some bridges to cross in terms of expanding that kind of advocacy to include gender identity or expression or a broader range of sex gender diverse persons, Senator Park's presence in our communities, again going back to the 1980s at least, in various public service roles, has been essential. Senator Parks, as an assembly person in 1999, led the fight to get sexual orientation added to employment statutes in Nevada, which was huge, and really set the stage for the things that we did in 2009 and 2011. We're also going to be honoring Nelson Arujo, current assembly person, and maybe, I don't know if this is fair to say, Nelson, but maybe rising star in the Democratic Party in Nevada. I hope so. Nelson is smart and clear and just a good all-around guy. He, as I was saying earlier, took leadership, among other things, this past session in supporting the passage of the foster care bill. Of course, was involved in all of these bills, both publicly and behind the scenes, to get things done. And we're really lucky to have Nelson, who is quite a bit younger than Senator Parks, and Assemblyperson Aisley, be in politics. And then we're also going to honor David Olshan, who is an attorney at Nevada Legal Services. David is a brilliant attorney, in my opinion. Has a sincerity and an integrity that I think maybe anyone could look up to. His kind of fierceness has fit for us because maybe, I don't know, I might say that David is in some ways similar to you. Like, oh, I know about some of this stuff, but how much do I really know? But David's bright mind and fierce attitude has supported our document change project in many ways that otherwise we wouldn't be able to support. And we got a hearing at the state Supreme Court as a result of David's leadership about family courts changing sex gender markers. David was instrumental in helping us get regulatory change regarding birth certificates this past fall. Nevada, by the way, has the most progressive regulatory process for changing sex gender markers on birth certificates. Basically, all you need to do is sign an affidavit, which is a fancy way of saying just say, this is what I want to do, and you get somebody else to say that too. And if you're born in Nevada, you can change the sex gender marker on your birth certificate pretty much that easily. And David was central to that. I'm hopeful that in the coming months and years, actually, we might, with David's support, challenge, and I may do this personally, challenge the state's interest in placing a sex gender marker of any kind on driver licenses in our state. Identifying as a snowflake, the M or the F really isn't fitting for me. And while people might see that as completely radical and why do we need to do that, I tell you it's a human rights issue for me, and I think for lots of other people too. So we're really proud that they would come and join us, and we're, I don't know, I tell you, eternally grateful for their leadership through the years and decades. So some of the folks that we're going to share space with.
Well, I'm glad you introduced everybody because I just know everybody's names on paper at this point. I haven't introduced myself to any of those folks or even talked on the phone.
I
So
hope
you're
after
definitely
Saturday, Saturday you know them much better.
Right.
I hope, yeah.
So anyways, we're celebrating these people's achievements and what they've done for the community at large and also specifically for the community that we serve. We're hoping for 200 or so people again, it's a Rio, it's Brasilia, ballrooms 1 and 4. It's Saturday, August 26th from 6 to 8.
Right, and maybe we haven't done that. I'm going to do that maybe several times between now and when we sign up. But it's no cost, right?
Free, absolutely free.
Although
donations are welcome.
Donations are welcome, but there's no charge to attend. There's no people have been asking me sometimes oh, is there kind of a dress code or something like that? But I always think come as you are. It's totally fine. Bring your friends, bring your family. It's an all ages event. And from 6 to 8, the Brasilia ballrooms at the Rio. But we're going to not just be honoring people. I know, in particular, maybe even recently, we've had some vibrant conversations about this. We're accepting donations and then some, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to be doing some special things in terms of trying to raise money for the things that we're doing at Gender Justice Nevada. Huh?
Right. we've got a raffle. We've got 15 to 20 items. Probably our biggest ticket item at this point is 2 3-day passes to the sold out Life is Beautiful Festival,
Are you kidding me?
which I believe it's in September. Is that right?
And next year, but I've maybe been trying to get some tickets for some folks. I've been looking into that. I thought it was sold out.
It's sold out, but we've got inside track. So those tickets, we've got 2, and we're
Jeremy.
raffling those up among other items. The Steer tickets and let's see, Menopause musical tickets, spa packages, restaurant gift cards, all sorts of fun stuff.
Right. So there are 3. I'm sorry. I'm just sort of stuck on this Life is Beautiful thing.
It's huge.
For a
Yeah,
moment.
it's huge.
They're 3-day passes, so they're for the
2 of them, 2 3-day passes.
the length of the event. And like how much, like if I got a raffle ticket, like, because it's not, I guess I'm not going to have to do this by silent auction, right?
Right.
All I got to do is just buy a raffle ticket.
Buy a raffle ticket. We're going to sell 1 for $5, or if you want to get 25, you can spend $100. So it's a better deal. You just spend more money. Buy in bulk.
I want to get. Can I
increase
win?
your chances.
Is it okay
Absolutely.
for me?
Anybody can, right? Absolutely.
Or maybe I should.
If,
No, maybe that's going to be
executive
a
director
moment.
wins, but
But I would love maybe somebody that I know to win those tickets.
I know they're going on I did a little research when we found out they were getting them, and I know they're going for about $450 to $500 per ticket.
Per ticket.
So those 2 tickets together are close to $1,000. So you spend $5 and you might win 2 tickets worth $1,000.
Right on. I'm going to be. I mean, I'm going to be there anyway, but I'm going to be there. And maybe I'm going to give some people some moolah and see what might happen. Maybe we could share some of that.
I think you'll be safe as long as you don't pick the ticket yourself.
Yeah. True, very true.
Well, I don't. Honestly, and maybe this is like clear between you and me, Jeremy. It's not my place
Of
to be
course.
sort of like that never has fit for me as a I don't know, as a person, I guess, to exploit or just maybe kind of like the possibility of exploitation. But
Well, you're
really,
the volunteer executive
Yeah,
director, so that
I
kind of
get
says a
it.
lot about
I get it.
you and your role here. So yeah.
Well, but that somebody's going to win them, and well, it's probably not going to be me. Somebody's going to win them and go home very, very happy. So Mystere tickets, I understand we have like Penn and Teller tickets.
True. Sorry, yeah, I forgot. Obviously, there's 15 items, 20 items, so I didn't name all of them. We've got 2 sets of Penn and Teller tickets. One set is 2 tickets. The other set is 4 tickets. So again, I know the 4 tickets. I think those retail for $433 total. So those are more than $100 per ticket.
Right.
So that's another big ticket item.
I understand. Somebody told me who knows the kind of the managerial staff with Penn and Teller that they might make a surprise appearance.
I would not hold your breath.
Oh, okay.
Because my understanding is that their show is right around that time, shortly after.
Uh-huh.
So chances are that they're not going to come. I did hear that rumor too. Somebody on our board, Dr. Andy Eisen, he has a good friend who's the manager, Steve Doctors, I believe is his name. And there was a rumor that one or both were going to come, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Hey, like Penn and Teller, if you're listening to this,
please come if
you
you'd
can
like.
grant our wish, a little magical wish that we have for you. Should you wish to come on by, even for a moment, it'd be really exciting, I think, for everyone who would be there. I know also, Jeremy, that there have been some local groups. I mean, it's great that we're getting some of these tickets to strip shows or to the big event at Life is Beautiful, but there are also some local folks who are donating. Maybe we have some restaurants or some service items as part of the raffle.
Absolutely. Let's see, La Fa, which is right over here on, I think it's on Bonneville and 3rd or something. They've generously given us a $100 gift card.
Right on.
Blue Martini is giving us a $100 gift card
Woohoo!
plus a VIP, right? Blue Martini is giving us a $100 gift card plus a VIP table.
Right.
Let's see, Mosaic Salon, they're giving us a salon package. I'm not sure the details yet. I know I've got another salon lined up from somebody who's going to give me the information today.
Right.
Also another massage person is going to give me their stuff on Friday. So some of them I don't have the tickets in front of me, so I can't give you all the details.
No.
But let's see what else we have.
Just want to make sure we're giving a shout out
Yeah,
to some
absolutely.
of
I'll
these
see you
folks.
later.
Public US.
Public
Yes.
Us.
Oh, Public Us.
Public
I would
Us.
say Public US. I don't know.
Public Us, great little cafe down on, is it Maryland and Fremont?
Yeah, right down the street from here.
Yeah, they've given us a $100 gift card plus a fancy coffee maker plus some coffee.
Right.
So that's a nice package.
Lane Olson, thank you so much, Lane. We love you.
Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is my favorite grocery store, and I know we shop at the same Trader Joe's.
8 days a week I'm at Trader Joe's, tell you what.
So they've put together a nice package for us, a nice little box of 20 items or so.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I'm sure I'm leaving people off, and I apologize. We will definitely be thanking people on our Facebook and Twitter and all that after the event. We have more time to catch our breath and do what we need to do in terms of thank you letters.
So, like, what do people? The event is this Saturday, the 26th of August. And I don't know, people are out of town. It's the end of summer. You know, school just started. There's this big fight or something like that happening here. Big deal. But we're off the strip at the Rio, so no worries really. I don't think about traffic that night. Plus, our event's going to be a little bit early, from 6 to 8, upstairs in the Brasilia ballroom.
It's in the convention center.
Oh,
it's on the ground floor.
Oh, so it's on the ground floor. Sorry, making an assumption. So I've heard from some folks like they'd love to come, but they're not able to make it, and they'd like to make a donation. I mean, like. And maybe you can say some of this too, of course, but I tell you, as volunteer director, and Jeremy's right, like I don't get paid for this, I don't get paid for the clinical director stuff that I do. I don't make light of that. It doesn't really matter. I'm privileged in my life in many ways, and I'm proud and I don't know, beyond thrilled to share space with so many amazing people and to offer support to people who have very little support about these things in their lives through the years. And we've done almost all of what we've done on a shoestring, really, through the years. And even before we came together in 2011, I started my advocacy back in the 1990s. I mean, I was there trying to get gender identity or expression added to the 1999 employment bill that Senator Parks was offering, among other ways that we were doing things back almost 20 years ago. But I'm not much of a promoter, and honestly, I really don't believe in money. I think money mostly just gets in, not mostly, it only gets in the way of relationships and causes trouble. Maybe, it's that like more money, more problems. But we do have a need for money. We need to pay for an executive director. We need somebody much better than me in this role, I would tell you. So, like if people want to make a donation, like how do they do that? Maybe we have a GoFundMe, they could do it on the website, or what would you tell us?
Well, we have a few different options. One is we do have a donate now button on our webpage, and it's genderjusticenv.org.
Right.
And we've also got a GoFundMe page. I couldn't give you the address right now, but I can tell you that if you find us on Facebook, there's a link on our Facebook account that takes you to the GoFundMe page, and you can definitely donate through GoFundMe.
Right.
A lot of people prefer GoFundMe because to the Donate Now button, because first there's a story that we tell. You could get a very good idea of where the money is going and the people that the money are helping. The money's it's doing a lot of good in this community, and people need to know by reading a story about somebody who's benefiting from those dollars.
Right.
Also, there's a tracker. You can see how much yours contributes to our goal. Our goal right now is $10,000. So we just started this one. We had a very successful one that ran for a couple months and it hasn't really officially ended. But I guess July 1st was when the dollars kind of stopped pouring in because we stopped pushing, but now we're pushing on the second one. So if you did a Google search and you search for Gender Justice Nevada and GoFundMe, we would certainly pop up. You can also find us, like I said, on our Facebook account, Gender Justice Nevada, and I know there's a link someplace close to the top of the page.
Right.
It'll take us to
Right. Yeah. And if you wanted to send a check, you can find our address online. You can stop by and make a donation. We do an awful lot of good things for folks who have, again, like very few places to turn. And maybe with your good support, Jeremy, I'm going to start telling more of those stories because there are a lot of them. And maybe that's part of what we can have you on back to talk about some of those stories and talk about some of the good things, the other good things that you're doing. Really grateful to have you with us in general with Gender Justice Nevada and have you here again this morning.
Thank you.
I appreciate everybody who's tuned in, who's listening. We didn't get any calls, but, well, okay. Maybe we weren't expecting any, but We're gonna keep doing this, Laura and me and others. My name is Jamie Heenan. I am Director of Gender Justice Nevada. You've been listening to Quear 2.0, exploring sex gender diversity. Thanks again to the Radio Tribune. Come see us Saturday at the Rio. Take good care, everyone.